Good evening from London News in Melbourne. We're going to cross now to on Zoom to talk to Bill Turner. We'd like to welcome Bill and Stephen and Victoria in New Zealand. And our friends in Melbourne and of course up in New South Wales. The Common Law Court is practically up and running to a certain degree. We have achieved a lot, and tonight we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that we need to do and where we are at the process of doing it. Anyway, let's go across and have a look. Hey, good evening from London News. Welcome everybody from New South Wales, New Zealand. Bill Turner, our guest tonight, which is fantastic to have Bill back on. It took a lot of prizing to get him on here. So hi, Bill, over to you in New Zealand. You're going to talk about our new society, the Common Law Society, and how to set it up.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is which I believe you've already set up is your website, so that you can get you can record everyone on there, because once you reach that critical number of 2,000, you become a township, and everything starts at township level. But there are other steps that you must follow, and that is that you must give notice. Now, giving notice on the website is great, but it would be even better if you're going to only give notice on the website, then you would have to notify the authorities or the people that could someone mute? I think it's the girl with the glasses, I think.
Sorry. Let me work out.
Jackie. That's better. Giving notice is very important, and they always give us notice of everything they're going to do, and you need to do the same. So making sure that you notify them that all your public notices will be in the public notices on the website, or you will publish them in a newspaper. Now, they have a habit when you go to newspapers of not putting some notices in, because it's detrimental to their system, and they know that. Like once I tried to put back in about 2003, 2004, I tried to put a public notice in the newspaper that William Henry would no longer be responsible for the debts of Turner, and they wouldn't put that in. Because it would have been detrimental to their system. But a lot of people have used Magna Carta, and so I'd like to just touch briefly on Magna Carta, because that still is the law on the private side of the ledger. But because the corporation running your country cannot hear the private side, they enacted, I might just share the screen here, Barry, enacted a statute called the Statute of Westminster the First, 1275, and this is what codified the Magna Carta. So in our laws over here in New Zealand, it's the Imperial Laws Application Act, and it says these enactments, imperial enactments, in force in New Zealand, and it tells you the Statutes of Westminster the First. I'll just highlight it here. So much of that act as is stated in the words, the King willeth and commandeth that common right be done to all, as well poor as rich, without respect of person. Okay, so now the Bible also tells you that, but without respect of person, the person is the one that they are dealing with, or the dead person that is part of their statute. So the original statute is this one here, which came out in England. This is what codified the Magna Carta. So if you're going into court to use the Magna Carta, you do your private court or your common law court verdict with the Magna Carta, but then when you address their court, so your court will be on foolscap paper and any other font except you must not use Times New Roman. So you do your private court, but when you address them or the paperwork that you give to them, and if you want the paperwork, I'll give it to Stephen, he can put it up on the website. They can only be moved by statute, and this is the statute that moves them. So they can only hear statute, they can only be moved by statute. So that is the statute that you will have to use if you're going to be using your common law court. You see, we're in the private side of the ledger if we adopt the common law court. They are on the public side and all they can hear is statute, whereas we are not bound by statute, only our person is bound by statute. So when we step away from that person into the private, which is what you guys are doing, then that has to be quoted in the paperwork that you give them. There where my mouse is tracking.
Policing by consent at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty simple, but the police must police by consent. Constitution. And I know a lot of you swear by the Constitution, but if anyone has actually set up a business over in Australia, you will know that you must have a constitution. You must have a seal for the company because the company can't sign, so the company has to have a seal. Now, the company that is set up over there has a constitution, and unfortunately, you don't come under that constitution. But they have to give you an out, and that's where the amendments come in. Now, I don't know whether you have amendments to yours. Under the American Constitution, you have the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, right up to about 15 or 16. That is the private side of the ledger. Okay, so understanding how they've set these things up is going to be the key to how you set things up. So the Constitution is for a private company. The amendments are your rights, which are enshrined in law. If you don't know what your rights are, then you've got none. Is that a bit clearer, Barry?
Yes, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good, Bill. That's something that's useful. And our society, perhaps we'd ask Steve and Vicky how they're going with the society. Have you guys set it up for us? And where are we at it? And is it working? And then we'll go to Anne, find out about the bank account. Anyway, what's happening, Steve?
Yeah, we're well on the way, Bill. We've got it operating. We've got the paywall and everything in place, and it's functioning. We've just got to make it a bit prettier. And Victoria's been working on that. She'll tell you a wee bit more about it, actually.
Yes, we're probably 24 hours away from being able to sort of go live with it. It'll pay to start just quietly, just so that if anything, we'll sort of just test drive it with, you know, maybe if everyone has half a dozen friends they could invite to it, and we'll just iron out the bugs over about 24, 48 hours before, you know, sort of getting overloaded and overwhelmed with people and then, you know, causing headache. We want the experience to be as pleasant as possible for them to just sort of log in, register and be able to use the platform and no hiccups.
That's fantastic. We can incorporate their telephone number, their mobile number as an ID.
Well, we've got a lot of because they're paying, we've got a lot of information on them anyway. So we've got, you know, their full name, their address. So we could, yeah, I sort of thought I didn't want to be too sort of intrusive. We probably, because it's a payment platform, we do have quite a bit of information on them.
What happened to our friends in Cyprus? That's Bill, Brian. Where have they gone? Have you any? Can you ring them, kick them, dial a prayer?
No, look, I've sent them a number of messages. I don't know they were keen to come on, so I don't know what's happened to them.
London News, we've been talking for a couple of hours here, a lot of interesting stuff, instruction from our dear friend in New Zealand, Bill, and I had to do this the second time. I've recorded the first time. So Bill, thanks for coming over to us, and thanks for everybody else. The Cyprus forgot to turn up. I think they got lost in translation. Anyway, Bill, thanks for coming, and goodbye, Bill.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you for all the rest of you for joining in.
Thank you for watching that. I hope it was a little bit of information there, but we've just got to keep you updated as much as possible. Lots of things are happening behind the scenes. A lot of effort has gone in. We have set up the Common Law Society, which has got up to about 2,000 members. And of course, as Bill just explained in the video, that's a very powerful organization, and we will hope to have around 5,000 very shortly. And of course, from that, little acorns will grow. Now, in Victoria, we're in a disgraceful state compared to New South Wales and New Zealand, where people can go out and have a coffee, cup of tea, go to McDonald's. I mean, even that's an adventure for us here in Victoria. All locked down because we have a Labour Party and a politician that's 60 Minutes blew the whistle about branch stacking and criminal activity. And of course, the opposition can't do very much about that because they're in the same boat. You don't throw stones in the glass house, which is very smart of them, keep their mouth shut. But the people, sadly, probably 80% of those people out there agree with Daniel Andrews, lock everything down without even thinking why. You know, as I said before, and I'll say it again, it must be a very, very dangerous virus that you have to have a test to find out whether you've got it or not. I mean, that any man or woman with a brain would think, oh, maybe that makes sense. If I never got tested, I'd never know I had it. You know, I mean, really. Anyway, London News sign off in Melbourne. Thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. We learned a lot tonight. Bye for now.
Anh tìm qua cuối